about math, but you want to go a bit higher, you want to build your confidence level a bit higher, this campaign is for you. Are you an excellent student, but you need a challenge? This campaign is for you. We want to get 5,000 students so comfortable with math that they've built a good foundation for their future academic pursuits. Now, are you interested in joining us in this campaign? We invite you, we welcome you to join us in this campaign. How can you help us with this campaign? Share this video with as many people as possible, and we hope to see students sign up because we want to see every student become comfortable enough with math that they conquer their fear of math. Please join us, and I'm sure you will enjoy the result of this campaign. Thank you. ACT 2017-18 math test. We're going to look through questions 1 to 5. Question 1. The blood types of 150 people were determined for a study as shown in the figure below. If one person from the study is randomly selected, what is the probability that this person has either a type A or type AB blood? So type A, for that we have 67 people. Type B, we have 15, but we're focused on type AB, which is 6. So the probability of type A or type AB is the probability of type A plus the probability of type AB. So the probability of type A is going to be 67 over 150. So that's number of type A divided by the total population. And then look at type AB, sorry. We have the number here over the size. So this is going to give us 73 over 150. The monthly fees for single rooms at 5 colleges are $370, $310, $380, $340, and $310 respectively. What is the mean of the monthly fees? So the mean, I'll say average, or the mean is going to be equal to 370 plus 310 plus 380 plus 340 plus 310, and we're going to divide by the count, which is 5. When you add this up together, let's do that on the side. 370 plus 310, we get 680 plus 380, we get 1060 plus 340, 004 1400 plus 310, we get 1710. So we have 1710 divided by 5, and we show the work. I'm a big fan of avoiding the calculator as much as possible because sometimes it slows you down. So this is 3, get 15, 21, 4, 20, we got 10, that's 2, 10. So we have $342. On a map, on a particular road map, 1/2 inch represents 18 miles. About how many miles apart are two towns that are 2.5 inches apart on this map? So 1/2 inch represents 18 miles. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert 2.5 to an improper fraction. So we have 5 over 2 inches equal to, so what we see here is from 1/2 to 5 halves, we're multiplying by 5. So we're going to also multiply by 5 here. So 18 multiplied by 5, we have 90 miles. So we have F is equal to C d to the 3rd power. So F is 450. We're trying to find the value of C d to the 3rd power. So this is going to give us 450 equal to 1000 C. So we divide both sides by 1000. So we have C is equal to, let's cross this out, 0.45. Now we have f of x equal to 3x plus 7 squared. F of 1 is 3 times 1 plus 7 squared. So that is 3 plus 7 squared, or 10 squared, which is 100. The ACT 2017-18, that's the free test. We're looking at the math portion, 6 questions, 6 to 10. So Jorge's current hourly wage for working at Dentist Miles is $12 an hour. Jorge was told that the beginning of next month, his new hourly wage will be an increase of 6% of his current hourly wage. What will Jorge's new hourly wage be? So what we're going to do to get, so the new hourly wage, so new wage is going to be equal to current wage plus increase. Okay, so let's look for the increase. The increase is 6%. So we have 6% multiplied by $12. So that's going to give us 72 over 100, which is 72 cents, or $0.72. So his new wage is going to be the current wage of $12 plus the new increase, or an increase of 72 cents. So this is going to give us, just for good measure, let's do this. So we have 2721. So we have $12.72. The first term is 1 in the geometric sequence. And what is the 7th term of the geometric sequence? So the nth term of a geometric sequence is the first term multiplied by the ratio to the power of n minus 1. So how do we get the ratio? So here we have a equal to 1, and then r is equal to -3 divided by 1, which must also be equal to 9 divided by -3, and must be equal to -27 over 9 for this to be a geometric sequence. So r is equal to -3. So the 7th term is going to be 1 multiplied by -3 to the power of 7 minus 1, which is 1 multiplied by -3 to the power of 6, and that's going to give us 729. The shipping rate for customers of ShipQuick consists of a fee per box and a price per pound for each box. The table below gives the fee and the price per pound for customers shipping boxes of various weights. So Greg wants ShipQuick to ship one box that weighs 15 pounds. What is the shipping rate for the box? So we're looking at this row right here. So we got 15 pounds. So shipping rate is equal to fee plus price per pound. The fee is $10. The price per pound is going to be 0.65, but then we're dealing with 15 pounds. So we're going to multiply by 15. So this is going to give us $10. And if you compute 0.65 by 15, we're going to get 9.75. For good measure, let's go ahead and show how to do that. 0.65, 15. So this is going to be 532. It's going to be, put a 0 here, have a 5, we have a 6, 5, 7, 9. We got 2 decimals, 1, 2. So now we have 10.00, 9.75. We add this together, 5, 7, 9, 1. So we have $19.75. A computer chip 0.32 centimeters thick is made up of layers of silicon. If the top and bottom layers are each 0.3 centimeters thick and the inner layers are 0.02 centimeters thick, how many layers are there? So we got 0.32 centimeters for the whole chip. Top layer, so I'm just going to say top layer is 0.03. Bottom layer is also 0.03. What is going to be, how many layers are there going to be between the top and the bottom? So let's do that. So sum of the top layer plus bottom layer is 0.03 plus 0.03, which is going to be 0.06 centimeters. Now we want to find out how many layers are between. So let's see, what's the thickness of the space between the bottom and the top layers? So let's look at thickness. It's going to be 0.32 minus 0.06. Let's do 0.32 minus 0.06. We have 0.62. So this is 0.26 centimeters. But each of the inner layers is 0.02 centimeters thick. So number of layers is going to be the thickness divided by, so that's the thickness of all those layers divided by the thickness of each of the layers. So we're going to end up with 13 here. So here's what you do, 0.26, 0.02. I'm going to move 2 spaces right here, 2 spaces right here. So I end up with 26 divided by 2. And then we have 13. Number 10. The table below shows the number of cars Jing sold each month last year. What is the median of the data in the table? First step in getting the median is to actually arrange the numbers in increasing order. So let's do that. Let's look at the ones first. We have 13, then we have 15, then we have 16, 19, 19. Then we start with the 2's. We have 22. We have 25 twice. Then we have 26. And then 27, 28, 29. Let's make sure we accounted for all the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we've accounted for all the data. Now what we need to do is we're looking at an even number distribution. So what we end up doing with the even number distribution is we divide 12 divided by 2, which is going to give us 6. We're going to subtract 1 from that, so that means that we're dealing with 5 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get that. So that means that our median, because we have two numbers in the middle, we're going to find the mean of those two numbers. So 22 plus 25 over 2, we have 47 over 2, which is 23.5. Continue to look at the ACT 2017-18 math test, but here we're going to address questions 11 through 15. Question 11. Students studying motion observed a cart rolling at a constant rate along a straight line. The table below gives the distance d feet the cart was from a reference point at 1 second intervals from t equal to 0 seconds to t equal to 5 seconds, and we have a table here. Which of the following equations represents the relationship between d and t? So to look at the relationship, let's look at, this is the independent and this is the dependent. So let's see what's happening in each instance. So we have an increase of 1 at every turn in the independent, and then we have, for the dependent, we have an increase of 6. So what that means is that for every 1 unit change in the independent, the dependent increases by 6. So that lets me know that there is a ratio of the relationship between the independent and dependent is 6t. Now let's look at where we're starting off. So when t is equal to 0, d is 14. So we have a starting point at 14. So you either have 6t plus 14 or 14 plus 6t. 60 plus 14. Okay. Now the length of a rectangle with area 54 square centimeters is 9 centimeters. What is the perimeter of the rectangle? So the first thing we're going to do is let's make an attempt at drawing a rectangle. Okay, so we have 9 centimeters here, and then we have, let's call this x for the width. So the area is length multiplied by width. We have 54 square centimeters is 9 centimeters multiplied by the width. So we're going to divide both sides by 9 centimeters to get the width. So 6 centimeters is our width. Now perimeter is length plus breadth multiplied by 2, or length plus width, depends on how you see it. So this is going to be 2, 9 plus 6, which is 2 times 15. That's going to give us 30 centimeters. In the figure below, C is the intersection of the line AD and the line BE. If it can be determined, what is the measure of BAC? So this is the angle we're interested in. Now at the point of intersection, we have vertical angles, so this is going to be 45 degrees. So now what we have is a situation where we have a triangle. We have a triangle where one of the angles is 45 another angle is 35, and we have a missing angle. So the sum of all angles in a triangle is 180. So we're going to have 35 degrees plus 45 degrees plus, let's call that x, the unknown angle, call it x, plus x equal to 180 degrees. So we have 80 degrees plus x equal to 180 degrees. I'm going to subtract 80 degrees from both sides to get the value of x. So we have x, this is actually not required. So we have x equal to 100 degrees. So Anton drew a circle graph below describing his time spent at school in one day. His teacher said that the number of hours listed were correct, but the central angle measures for the sectors were not correct. What should the central angle measure for the core subject sector be? So let's see. We have how many hours altogether? We got 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1. So we have 9 hours altogether. Now here's a trick that we could use because we're dealing with a circle. The sum of all angles in a circle. So we have sum of angles in a circle is going to be equal to 360 degrees. So what we have is that 9 hours will be covering 360 degrees. So 1 hour is going to be equivalent to 40 degrees. So let's see, we're looking at core subjects. Let's pay attention to that. Core subjects, so we have 4 hours for core subjects. It's going to give us 40 degrees times 4, which is 160 degrees. Now another way to look at this is that the fraction of the whole day that is spent on core subjects is 4 hours out of 9, and then we multiply that by 360 as well. So this is 1, this is 40, which is 160 degrees. So it depends on which one you prefer, they get you to the same answer. Number 5, this month Kami sold 70 figurines in 2 sizes. The large figurines sold for $12 each, and the small figurines sold for $8 each. The amount of money he received from the sales of the large figurines was equal to the amount he received from the small figurines. How many large figurines did he sell? So let's say we're going to create a system here. First thing we're going to do is let x, let's call that the large figurines, and y is for the small figurines, and total number of figurines is going to be x plus y. And then, so here's our system. We have x plus y equal to 70, and then the cost of the large is going to be 12 times x, and the cost of the small is going to be 8 times x. But what we're told here is that the total amount made from each one is the same. So we have 12x equal to 8y. So now we have this system. The first thing I'm going to do here, or I'll recommend you do, because we're looking for the value of x, which is the large figurines, I'm just going to rewrite this first equation here in terms of x. So I'm just going to say x is equal to 70 minus y. So now that I've done that, I'm going to substitute that value in the second equation. So everywhere I have x, I'm going to replace with 70 minus y. So 12 multiplied by 70 minus y is equal to 8y. So I'm going to distribute this. It's going to give me 840 minus 12y equal to 8y. So we add 12y to both sides of the equation, and we have 840 equal to 20y. So now we divide both sides by 20. So we have y is equal to 42. So that tells me how many small figurines I had. So let's go back and find the value of x. It's going to be 70 minus 42, which is 28 figurines. So we have 28 large figurines. We'll look at questions 16 through 20 from the ACT 2017-18 free test. It's going to be the math portion. Number 16, a car accelerated from 88 feet per second to 220 feet per second in exactly 3 seconds. Assuming the acceleration was constant, what was the car's acceleration in feet per second from 88 feet per second to 220 feet per second? So what we have here is the distance is going to be the distance covered, because we want to find out acceleration. So we're going to have distance covered divided by the time covered. So let's look at that here. The distance covered is going to be 220 feet per second minus 88 feet per second, and the time that was covered is 3 minus 0. The reason why we have a 0 there is because at the starting point it's 0 seconds. So we have 132 feet per second. This is feet per second divided by 3 seconds. So this is going to give us 44 feet per second squared. So we have an acceleration of 44 feet per second squared. In a plane, the distinct lines A, B, and CD intersect at a point A, where A is between C and D. The measure of angle BAC is 47 degrees. What is the measure of angle BAD? So let's look at the lines. Let's draw the lines. We have one line right here, and we're going to call that line C and D. We also have another line, and that line is going to be the line AB, but we need to pay attention to something important here. It says the line, the point of intersection is at the point A. So we got A right here, we got B. Now, what we want to deal with here is that angle BAC, so this angle right here is 47 degrees. We will need to find the value of angle BAD. So this is going to be X. So what we have is a situation where we have a straight line, and so because we have a straight line, angle BAC plus angle BAD must be equal to 180 degrees. BAC is 47 degrees, and we're told BAD is X. We have the sum is 180 degrees. So let's subtract 47 degrees from both sides, and we have X is 133 degrees, and that's going to give us D here. In which of the following are 1/2, 5/6, and 5/8 arranged in ascending order? So ascending order means we're going from the smallest to the largest. And so what we're going to do here, the first thing we want to do for sure is to make sure we rewrite each of these fractions with a common denominator. So look at these 2, 6, and 8. What's the lowest common denominator for this, that should be 24, but let's see how we go about getting that. 2, 6, and 8. 2 is 2 to the power of 1, 6 is 2 to the power of 1, multiplied by 3 to the power of 1, 8 is 2 to the power of 3. So the LCD is going to be, we're going to put down 2 and 3, and we take the greatest exponent each time. We got 3 and 1. So this is 8 multiplied by 3, which is 24. So now we're going to rewrite each of these. So 1/2, we're going to write it with a denominator of 24. So I multiply 2 by 12, so I multiply 1 by 12. And then 5/6, we're going to change it with a denominator of 24. So we multiply 6 by 4, and therefore multiply 5 by 4 as well. And then 5/8, we multiply 8 by 3 to get to 24, multiply 5 by 3 to get to 15. So here's what we need to do. We're going to arrange in increasing order. So we have 12 over 24 is less than 15 over 24, which is also less than 20 over 24. Now we're going to replace these with the original fraction. So 1/2 less than 5/8 less than 5/6. 1/2 less than 5/8 less than 5/6. In scientific notation, what is 670 million plus 700 million? Now, because we're going to write a scientific notation, I'm going to convert each one to scientific notation first. And the most important thing here, well, let's go ahead and convert each one. So 670 million is going to be, let's see, we put a decimal marker here. Put a decimal marker here. We want to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here. So we have 6.7 multiplied by 10 to the power of 8. Let's look at 700 million rather. We do the same thing. We want to get to right here, and this is where we're starting. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 7.0 times 10 to the power of 8. Now when we add them together, so very important thing to note here is we want to make sure that the exponents on the 10 are exactly the same. So we have 6.7 times 10 to the power of 8 plus 7.0 times 10 to the power of 8. This is the same as 6.7 plus 7.0 times 10 to the power of 8. So we get 13.7 times 10 to the power of 8. Now, we also have to rewrite 13.7 because that's not in scientific notation. It's not correct that way. So we now have, we go from here back here. So we have 1.37 times 10 to the power of 1 times 10 to the power of 8. So which is going to be 1.37 times 10 to the power of 1 plus 8, which is 1.37 times 10 to the power of 9. This right here is exponent rule that we're applying. So 1.37 times 10 to the power of 9. Question number 20. For a trapezoid ABCD shown below, AB is parallel to DC. The measures of the interior angles are distinct, and the measure of angle D is X. What is the degree measure of angle A? Just one of the properties of a trapezoid is that these two angles are supplementary angles. So that means that angle A plus X equal to 180 degrees. So angle A is 180 degrees minus X degrees. So we can rewrite that as 180 minus X degrees. We continue to take a look at the ACT 2017-18 free sample test, and we're going to look at questions 21 through 25 of the math portion. So to get a driver's license, an applicant must pass a written test and a driving test. Past records show that 80% of the applicants passed the reading test and 60% of those who have passed the written test passed the driving test. Based on these figures, how many applicants in a random group of 1,000 applicants would you expect to get a driver's license? So to get a driver's license, so let's look at, to get a driver's license we have pass written and then pass driving. Okay, so we pass the written and then we pass the driving test. So we have 1,000 applicants. So how many do we expect to pass the written? Will be 80%, which is going to be 80 over 100 times 1,000. Zeros out here, zeros out here. So 80 times 10, which is going to be 800. So 800 pass the written, 800 pass written. And then to get the driver's license, you have to pass the driving. So 60% of 800 passed the driving test, which is going to be 60 over 100 times 800. So zeros out here, zeros out here. 60 times 8 is 480 applicants. 480 applicants will get a driver's license. A, B, and C are positive integers such that a to the power of b is x, so x equal to a to the power of b, and then y equal to c to the power of b. So x, y is equal to a to the power of b multiplied by c to the power of b. Using our exponent rule, this is going to be the same as a times c to the power of b, which is ac with an exponent of b. AC exponent. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to this expression here? So the first thing we're going to do actually is to simplify the expression in the parentheses. Never forget PEMDAS, which means that whatever is in the parentheses must be the first to be simplified. So we have 1/2 y squared. Let's write the expression. 6x plus 2y plus 12x minus 2y. So we're going to group common terms together. Half y squared. We have 6x plus 12x plus 2y minus 2y. So we have 1/2 y squared is 18 multiplied by 18x. So because 2y minus 2y crosses out, so now we have half of 18 is 9x y squared. 9x y squared. That's A. Number 24. An artist makes a profit of 500 p minus p squared dollars from selling p paintings. What is the fewest number of paintings the artist can sell to make a profit of at least $60,000? So let's look at that. The profit is 500p minus p squared to make a profit of at least $60,000. So it must be greater than or equal to $60,000. So let's make this an equation. Minus p squared plus 500p equal to 60,000. So let's go ahead and solve this. Minus p squared plus 500p minus 60,000 is equal to 0. So we go minus p squared plus 300p plus 200p minus 60,000 is 0. So let's simplify. We have minus p here, p minus 300 plus 200, and then we have p minus 300 equal to 0. So 200 minus p, and then p minus 300 equal to 0. So let's go ahead. 200 minus p equal to 0, so p is 200. P minus 300 equal to 0, so p is 300. So let's use the graphene method. Easiest is the fastest one because you're in a test, is the fastest one to go with. So we're going to draw our graph right there. And we're told that the intercept is negative 60,000. And so we have negative 60,000 here. So we have a graph that is going to be negative quadratic. Okay, so we have a graph that looks like that. This right here is 200. This right here is 300. So let's test with 0. Let's use our origin test, 0, 0. So what we're saying here is 500 times 0 minus 0 squared is greater than or equal to 60,000. So 0 minus 0 greater than or equal to 60,000. 0 is not greater than or equal to 60,000. So any part of the graph that has 0 right here will not work. So the best thing we have going for us here is that this is the region that has the solution set. So how would we write that? We have 200 is less than equal to p, which is less than equal to 300, which means that the smallest value is p is greater than equal to 200, and p for your largest value must be less than equal to 300. So our smallest value of p will now be 200. Question 25. Last month, Lucy had a total expenditure of $900. The pie chart below breaks down the expenditures by category. The category in which Lucy's expenditures were greatest is what percentage of her total expenditures to the nearest 1%. So if we look at the chart, we're going to look at the largest pie. So that's 254. So we have 254 over 900 times 100 to check the percentage. So let's cross this out, cross this out. This is going to be 254 over 9%. If you put this in a calculator, you get about 28.2%. So the closest answer to that is this right here. So we'll continue with the ACT 2017-18 math test, and we're going to look at questions 26 through 30. In the figure below, the measure of angle BAC is x plus 20 degrees. So right here is x plus 20. And the measure of BAD is 90. What is the measure of CAD? So this is what we're looking for. So let's look at, so the sum of these two angles is going to be 90 degrees. So what we have is BAC plus CAD is equal to 90 degrees. So BAC is x plus 20 degrees plus angle CAD equal to 90 degrees. So angle CAD is equal to 90 degrees minus x plus 20 degrees. So we distribute out and to remove the parentheses. So we have 90 minus x minus 20. So this is going to give us 70 minus x degrees. What is the perimeter in inches of the isosceles right triangle shown below, whose hypotenuse is 8 square root of 2 inches long. So this is going to be 8 square root of 2 inches. Let's call this x. This is going to be x. So we're going to apply Pythagoras Theorem. The Pythagorean Theorem is going to be x squared plus x squared equal to 8 square root of 2 squared. So 2x squared is equal to 128, and how we get that is it's going to be 8 squared multiplied by square root of 2 squared. So x squared equal to 64, therefore x is equal to 8. So the perimeter is going to be 8 plus 8 plus 8 square root of 2. So we have 16 plus 8 square root of 2, or 8 square root of 2 plus 16. In the equation y equal to ax squared plus bx plus c is graphed in the standard xy coordinate plane below for real values of a, b, and c when y equal to 0, which of the following best describes the solutions for x? So when y equal to 0, so you're looking at the x intercept, which is right here and right here. So let's look at a few things about the x intercept. So one of them is positive. This right here is positive. This right here is negative. All right. Let's look at the options. So based on what we've discovered already, we see that we have one positive real solution and one negative real solution. What is the product of the complex numbers negative 3i plus 4 and 3i plus 4? So we're going to do the FOIL. We're going to apply FOIL. So let's look at this right here. That's our FOIL. So that's going to give us negative 9i squared. So the outer numbers, so we're looking at this now. This is going to be negative 12i. Then we look at this right here, which is positive 12i. And then the last ones right here, plus 16. So this crosses out, so we have negative 9i squared plus 16, which is negative 9 multiplied by negative 1 plus 16. 9 plus 16, which is 25. The radius of the base of a right circular cone shown below is 5 inches, and the height of the cone is 7 inches. Solving which of the following equations gives the measure of angle theta formed by the slant height of the cone and the radius. So we're looking for this angle right here. So we're going to look at, just looking at the options, we know that we're dealing with SOHCAHTOA. So let's see, we're looking for something that combines so 5 is the adjacent angle and 7 is the opposite. We don't have a value for the slant height, so we're not going to worry about that. So the only thing that combines the opposite side and the adjacent side is the tan. So let's look at tan of theta, which is opposite side to this angle is 7. The adjacent side is 5. So tan theta is 7 over 5. We now continue with questions 31 through 35. Question 31. To make a 750-piece jigsaw puzzle more challenging, a puzzle company includes 5 extra pieces in the box, along with the 750 pieces. And those 5 extra pieces do not fit anywhere in the puzzle. If you buy such a puzzle box, break the seal on the box, and immediately select one piece at random, what is the probability that it will be one of the extra pieces? So let's look at the total number of pieces. Total number of pieces is 750 plus 5, which is going to give us 755. And we'll look for one of the extra pieces. Number of extra pieces. Number of extra pieces is 5. So probability of picking extra piece is 5 divided by 755. Number 32. What fraction lies exactly halfway between 2/3 and 3/4? So to find the fraction that lies halfway between, we're looking for the midpoint. So we'll look at midpoint is 2/3 plus 3/4 divided by 2, which is going to give us, we're going to change the denominator to 12. So we have 8 plus 9, which is 17 over 12 divided by 2, which is going to give us 17 over 12 times 1/2, which is going to give us 17 over 24. Number 33. So we're looking at this diagram here, and we're told that 0.25 inches represents 2 feet. It's an important fact from the question. And we're looking at a 15-foot wall is how many inches long on the scale of drawing? So 0.25 inches is equal to 2 feet. So we want to find out how many inches will represent 15 feet. So what we can do here is we can look at factors here. So for us to get to from 2 to feet to 15 feet, we multiply by 7.5, and here also we have to multiply by 7.5. So what we have now is x is 0.25 times 7.5. So we can show the work here. 0.25, 7.5. So we have 125, put a 0 here, 5, 7, 1. So we have 1875, and we have 2 decimal places here, 1, 2, we got 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3. So it's 1.875. Number 34. Important question here. So we're looking for the area of the floor that is not tiled, but let's pay attention to the area that is tiled first. So area not tiled is equal to total area minus area of tiled region. So our total area is 15 times 12. So we have, in this case, so cabinets will be installed along one of the 12-foot walls from floor to ceiling, and 4 cabinets that are 3 feet tall will be installed in the middle of the room. These are the only cabinets that will be installed, and each of them will be 2 feet by 2 feet, 2 feet wide and 2 feet deep. So let's look at the area that will be tiled will be, so we have this region right here, and then we have this right here. So this is going to be 2 times 12 for this region, and then here we have 4 cabinets. Each of them is going to have an area of 2 times 2. So this is going to be 180 minus 24 plus 16, which is 180 minus 40, which is going to give us 140 square feet. So we're told here that CC installations estimate consists of a $650 charge for labor plus a fixed charge per cabinet. The labor charge and the charge per cabinet remains the same for any number of cabinets built and installed. CC installations would give Guyana what estimate if the craft room were to have twice as many cabinets as Guyana is planning to have. So total cost, fixed cost of labor plus cost of cabinets. So now we have 2,150 is equal to 650 plus, let's call this X. So we subtract 650 from both sides. So the cost of the cabinet is $1,500. If we're to double the number of cabinets, so 2X is going to be $3,000. And then new cost is going to be fixed cost plus cabinet cost. So it's going to be 650 plus $3,000. So we're going to end up with a total cost of 3,650. Now we move on to questions 36 through 40. So we're looking at these inequality, and we will need to find the graph of the region that satisfies the inequality. So I'm going to start off by trying to figure out which of these regions actually makes sense. So let's start with, I'm going to put a 0, so we're going to use the origin. So the origin is the point 0, 0. So what we find here is 1 less than x plus y less than 2. So we're going to see if the origin makes sense. So 1 less than 0 plus 0 less than 2. So 1 is less than 0 less than 2. So this is inaccurate. So we're going to see that any question or any answer with the origin as a shaded portion ends up being inaccurate. So this is inaccurate, this is inaccurate. Now the next thing we're going to do is try to find out if this is a positive sloped graph or a negative sloped graph. So 1 less than x plus y is the first one we're going to look at, and x plus y less than 2. So if we rearrange this, because we have to arrange it in such a way that it looks like this, y greater than mx plus b. So we have minus x plus 1 is less than y, and we have y is less than minus x plus 2. So these are going to be negative slope graphs. So generally what that means is that the graph is going to look something like this. We're going to look for something that looks like that. That's what your graph is going to look like. So we're going to look for a graph amongst these three. So this is positive slope, this is positive slope, and then this right here is negative slope, because both of them are negative sloped inequality graphs. What is the difference between the mean and the median of the set? So let's look at the mean. The mean is going to be the sum, which is 3 plus 8 plus 10 plus 15 divided by 4, which is going to give us 36 divided by 4, which is 9. The median because we have an even set of numbers, so we got 4, so we divide 4 by 2, which is going to give us 2, and then we're going to add 1. So we're going to find the average of, or the mean of the number in the second and third position, which is going to give us 8 plus 10 divided by 2, which is going to give us 9. So mean minus median is 9 minus 9, which is equal to 0. Number 38, which of the following describes a true relationship between the functions? So this is a quadratic function here, and then this is a linear function graphed in the standard coordinates. So we see that it has an intersection in we have two different points of intersection. So that means that f of x is equal to g of x for exactly two values of x. Trapezoid ABCD is graphed in the standard xy coordinate plane below. What is the slope of CD? So C is 9, 4, D is 12, 1. So slope is changing y divided by changing x. So we're going to use this as y2 minus y1. So let's go 1 minus 4 divided by 12 minus 9. So we have minus 3 divided by 3, which is minus 1. Number 40. Trapezoid is graphed in the standard xy below. When ABCD is reflected over the y-axis, what are the coordinates of D? So when it's reflected over the y-axis, what ends up happening is this position ends up being around the same position right here. We can see the only thing that changes is the sign of the X intercept of the X value. The X value changes from a positive to a negative, but the Y value remains the same. So the X value changes from a positive to a negative, the Y remains the same. So that's F. Now on to questions 41 through 45. So we have a trapezoid here in this diagram, and we want to find out which of the following vertical lines cuts ABCD into two trapezoids with equal areas. So let's look at the midpoint of each of the lines. So we need to find a line that cuts it this way, like a straight line that cuts it, something like that. So let's look for the midpoint of the base 1 and base 2. So let's look at base 1. The midpoint is going to be, so we're going to call this B1 and this is B2. So the midpoint is 3 plus 9 over 2, 4 plus 4 over 2. So that's going to give us 6, 4. Now B2 is going to be 2 plus 12 over 2, 1 plus 1 over 2. So that's going to give us 7, 1. So we have 6 on the top right there, and then we have 7 at the bottom right here. So the midpoint there will just be the average of, because we're looking for a vertical line, so it's going to be on the x-axis. So it's going to be 6 plus 7 divided by 2. It's going to be the midpoint of those two different points, because we need a line that cuts through in the same position or at the same point for base 1 and base 2. So this is going to give us 6.5. So x is going to be equal to 6.5. If f of x equal to x minus 1 over x and g of x is 1 over x, what is f of g of 1/2? So the first thing we're going to look for is what is g of 1/2, which is 1 divided by 1/2, which is 1 times 2. and that's going to give us 2. So now we look for f of 2, which is 2 minus 1 over 2. Let's make them same denominator, 4 over 2 minus 1 over 2. That's going to give us 3 over 2. A formula to estimate the monthly payment P dollars on a short-term loan is given below, where A dollars is the amount of the loan, R is the annual interest rate expressed as a decimal, and Y years is the length of the loan. When A is multiplied by 2, what is the effect on P? So I'm going to rewrite this, just factor out A since that's what we care about. So we factor out A and we have 1/2 RY plus 1 over 12y. So if we multiply A by 2, so we're looking at P is 2A 1/2 RY plus 1 over 12y. So this is going to give us A 1/2 RY plus 1 over 6. Now what we see here is that what has happened generally with this equation is that the value of P has actually doubled. So the value of P has actually doubled because here we have division by 12 and then we have division by 6. For you to get division by 6, you're actually multiplying the whole thing by 2. So P is divided by 6. Actually, P is actually multiplied by 2 because P has doubled. So P is multiplied by 2. Number 44. The points 6, 4, and 14, 12 lie in the standard XY. Point D lies on EF between E and F such that the length of EF is 4 times the length of DE. So let's look for the length of EF. EF is going to be square root of y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared. So this is going to give us square root of 12 minus 4 squared plus 14 minus 6 squared, which is going to give us square root of 8 squared plus 8 squared, which is square root of 128, and that's going to give us 8 square root of 2. So that's the length of EF. So we're told that the EF is going to be 4 times the length of DE. So let's make this D. So 4 times the length of this, so DE is equal to 1/4 of EF, which is 1/4 times 8 square root of 2, which is going to give us 2 square root of 2. So for you to get 2 square root of 2, it's going to be the same as the square root of 8. So what we're going to have is, we're going to have a situation where we have the square root of 4 plus 4. Now to get the square root of 4, that means that the difference between, looking at E, is going to be 6, 4. And then D, the difference between the x coordinate in E and the x coordinate in D must be 2, and same for the y coordinate. So we're going to look at possibility of getting 8 and 6. Let's see if there's something like that in the answer. Okay. So what we've done here is to look, because we're looking for a square root of 4 plus 4, we need to have a situation where the difference between the x coordinates is 2 and the difference between the y coordinates is also 2. So given that A to this matrix is, we're looking for A, which is so we're looking at the scalar multiplier here. So let's look for the scalar multiplier. So the only value that we have in both, the only position that is filled in both matrices is this position right here. So 6A is equal to 27. So A is 27 over 6, which is going to give us, well, let's leave it at that. A is 27 over 6. So A is 27 over 6, and we're looking for the value of x plus z. So let's add up the value of x plus z and then look at the same position in the first matrix. So we have a multiplied by 2 plus 4 is equal to x plus z. So 27 over 6 multiplied by 6 is equal to 27. Questions 46 through 50 of the ACT 2017-18 free math test. A container is full of water. After 10 cups of water are added, the container is 3/4 full. What is the volume of the container in cups? So we start off with 1/8, and after 10 cups of water, we have 3/4 full. Now, what we can see here is that the difference between 3/4 and 1/8 represents the fraction of the number of cups of water. So we look at 3/4 minus 1/8. So let's do this. We're going to change the common denominator to 8 for both of them. 4 times 2 is 8, so 3 times 2 is 6. And then 1 right here. So this is 5/8. So what we have in this case is that 5/8 of the container is equal to 10 cups. So now we want to find out what the volume of the container is in cups. So here we're going to multiply 5/8 by 8 over 5, which is the inverse of this number. And we also multiply 10 cups by 8 over 5. So this is going to give us 1, which represents a full container. It's going to give us 80 divided by 5, which is 16 cups. And our answer right here is J. Only 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students attend Washington High School. The ratio of 10th graders to the school's total population is 86 to 255, and the ratio of 11th graders to the school's total population is 18 to 51. If one student is chosen at random from the entire school, which grade is that student most likely to be in? So let's look at 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders. So based on this, we can see that the ratio of the 10th graders to the school's population is 86 to 255. So that means we have 255 students in the school and 86 of them are 10th graders. Now for 11th graders, we have 18 to 51. So we have 18 to 51 is going to be x over 255. That will give us the exact value of the number of 11th graders. So we multiply 51 by 5. So let's go here. 51x equal to 18 multiplied by 255. So we divide by 51. Here we divide by 51. So x is 18 multiplied by 5, which is 90. So that gives us there 90 11th graders. So the total number of 12th graders is going to be 255. So 12th graders is going to be 255 minus the sum of 86 and 90, which is 255 minus 176. And just the way I believe this should be done, we're going to try to do it without a calculator. 176. So 15 minus 6, let's take 4 from here, 1 here. So it's 15 minus 6 is 9. 14 minus 7, or 4 minus 7 is unknown, so we take 1 from there, and so 14 minus 7 is 17. So here we have 79 12th graders. Now the question is asking, if a student is chosen at random from the entire school, which grade is that student most likely to be in? The grade the student is most likely to be in is going to be represented by the grade with the largest with the largest number of students. Here we see that is the 11th grade. So that's going to be B, because the 11th grade has more students than the 10th and 12th grades. Now we have 4 divided by root 2 plus 2 divided by root 3. What we're going to do here is we're going to look for a least common denominator. So let's do that. We have root 3 root 2. And here, for this specific fraction here, we multiply root 2 by root 3 to get to our least common denominator. So we're going to multiply 4 also by root 3 plus, in this case we have root 3 root 2. In this case we multiply root 3 by root 2, so we're going to multiply 2 also by root 2. So this is going to give us 4 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 2 divided by the product of root 3 and root 2, which is going to give us 4 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 2 divided by the square root of 6. And we have G as our answer. So the shaded region in the graph below represents the solution set to which of the following systems of inequalities? Here are a few things we're going to try to do. So we have x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared, and we have 9 on this side. An important thing, what makes this question a little bit easier to work with, is that the origin is given as a point in the region that is acceptable or that satisfies both inequalities. So we're going to use 0 as the x value. So the origin is the point at 0, 0. So the easiest way to go about this is we're going to plug in 0, 0 in each of these equations and see which of these inequalities will be acceptable. So 0 minus 1 squared plus 0 minus 2 squared, and then we have 9 here. So 1 squared plus 2 squared, we have 9. So 1 plus 4, we have 9. So 5, we have 9. Which inequality would be best right here? 5 is less than 9. So let's go to the second inequality. We still have 0, 0. Y is equal to minus x plus 2. So because it's an inequality, we don't know what that is going to be. Minus x plus 2. So we have, using the origin, we have 0 is equal to, actually we don't know what the inequality is. So we have 0 and then we have minus 0 plus 2. So 0 is less than 2. So in this case, we have x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared is less than 9. So we can easily cross out everything else that doesn't have that. And then we have y is less than minus x plus 2. So that's going to give us option A. So here we can find the volume of an irregularly shaped solid object by completely submerging it in water and calculating the volume of water the object displaces. You completely submerge a solid object in a rectangular tank that has a base 40 centimeters by 30 centimeters and is filled with water to a depth of 20 centimeters. If the object sinks to the bottom and the water level goes up by 0.25 centimeters, what is the volume in cubic centimeters? So the volume is going to be length multiplied by width multiplied by height. In this case, the length 40 centimeters, the width is 30 centimeters, Here we can say either height or depth because that represents the amount of water that is in the container. So in this case, we've seen that the amount of water, or the water level, goes up by 0.25 centimeters. So that's going to be the depth of that's the depth that that object is responsible for in that container. So this is going to give us times 30 times, just make it 1/4. Cross this out, this gives us 10. 10 times 30, that is 300 cubic centimeters, and that is going to give us F. Questions 51 through 55 of the ACT 2017-18 math test. Question 51. If the ratio of x to y is 5:2 and the ratio of y to z is 3:2, what is the ratio of x to z? So let's approach it this way. X to y is the same as x over y. So x over y is equal to 5/2. And then y to z is the same as y over z. So y over z is 3/2. So we're gonna do a cross product right here. Cross product, some call it cross multiplying. It's the same thing. So we have 2x equal to 5y and 2y equal to 3z. So we are looking for the ratio of x to z. So let's look at let's look for the value of x in this case. We're going to divide by 2 on both sides. So x is 5y/2, and then we need z here. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. So z equal to 2y/3. Now we need to find the ratio of x to z, which is x over z. X is 5y/2 and z is 2y/3. So we're going to divide. So we have 5y/2 divided by 2y/3, which is going to give us 5y/2 times 3/2y. So we have 15y/4y, which is, we can cross out the y's, and we have 15/4. So therefore, we can say that the ratio of x to z is the same as the ratio 15/4. That is option E. Which of the following is the solution statement for the inequality below? So we have -5 is less than 1 minus 3x, which is also less than 10. So we're gonna subtract 1 from all of the portions of this inequality. So we subtract 1 here, subtract 1 here, subtract 1 here. So we have -6 is less than minus 3x, less than 9. We're going to divide everything by -3. And we have 2, because we're dividing, the sign has to change, is greater than x and is greater than -3. So in this case, to reorder it, we have, so what this is telling us is that x is greater than -3 and x is less than 2. So we have x, so we have -3 is less than x less than 2. -3 less than x less than 2. That is option H. So a formula for the surface area A of the rectangular solid shown below is A equal to 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH, where L is the length, W is the width, and H is the height. By doubling each of these dimensions, length, width, and height, the surface area will be multiplied by what factor? So let's start off with this. A is going to be 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. So the new surface area, we're going to call it A1. We're going to have 2. L is going to be 2L multiplied by 2W, okay, plus 2L multiplied by 2H plus 2W multiplied by 2H. So this is going to give us 8LW plus 8LH plus 8WH. So we want to find out the multiplier factor, so A1. So let's go ahead and factor A1 and A. So A is the same as 2LW plus LH plus WH. A1 is the same as 8LW plus LH plus WH. So if we divide A1 by A to find out the multiplier factor, we have 8LW plus LH plus WH divided by 2LW plus LH plus WH. So this is the same, we cross it out. 8 divided by 2, we have 4. So the multiplier factor is 4, which gives us option B. Number 54, a dog eats 7 cans of food in 3 days. At this rate, how many cans of food will the dog eat in 3 plus D days? So we know the days, so I'm going to put the days on the left hand side. So in 3 days, the dog eats 7 cans of food. So what I like to do here is to find out a unit rate. So in 1 day, we have 7 over 3 cans, and the way we get to that is we divide 3 by 3 to get to 1 day, so we're going to divide 7 by 3 also to get to the unit rate for the number of cans eaten per day. So now we want 3 plus D days, so we're going to multiply 7 over 3 by 3 plus D. So how do we get there? We multiply 1 by 3 plus D to get to 3 plus D. So you also multiply 7 over 3 by 3 plus D to get the number of cans. So this is going to give us 7 over 3 and then 3 plus D. We have 7 over 3 times 3 plus 7 over 3 times D. Now we have these 3 crosses out, so we have 7 plus 7D over 3, and that is going to give us option K. Finally, we have Kelly asked 120 students questions about skiing. The results of the poll are shown in the table below. So in the table, the first question is, have you skied either cross-country or downhill? 65 say yes, 55 say no. Question number 2, if you answered yes to question 1, did you ski downhill? 28 say yes, 37 say no. If you answered yes to question number 1, did you ski cross-country? 45 say yes, 20 say no. After completing the poll, Kelly wondered how many of the students polled had skied both cross-country and downhill. How many of the students polled indicated that they had skied both cross-country and downhill. So I'm going to try a Venn diagram here. So I'm going to draw a Venn diagram. So now we have this Venn diagram here. We want to find out, let's call this portion here cross country, and we're going to call this portion here downhill. We want to find out how many students did both. We do know that 28 skied downhill. So this is going to give us, let's assume that the number that did both is going to be X. Okay, so the number that skid just downhill is going to be 28, but remember that also includes the number that skid both downhill and cross country. So for here, I'm going to make this 28 minus x are going to be the number that only skid downhill. And then for cross country, we have 45, but that also includes the number that skid downhill as well. So I'm going to make this 45 minus x. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to add up all of this should give us 65 to get us the number that skid either cross country or downhill. So we have 45 minus x, which will represent the number that skid only cross country. We're going to add x, which represents the number that skid cross country and downhill. And we're also going to add 28 minus x, which is going to tell us the number that skid only downhill. And this should give us 65 students. So now let's simplify this. We have 45 plus 28 plus x minus x minus x. So this crosses out. This is 65. So 73 minus x equal to 65. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say 73 minus 65 equal to x. So 8 is x. So what we have here is that 8 students actually skid both downhill and cross country. We have option E. ACT 2017-18 Math Test, questions 56 through 60. Question 56, we're looking at the square below that is divided into 3 rows of equal area. So every row has the same area. In the top row, the region labeled A has the same area as the region labeled B, so they're equal. In the middle row, the regions have equal areas, and in the bottom row, the regions have equal areas. So here's the best way to do it. You can either use algebra or you can pick a number. So we have 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to pick a number that you can divide equally in 2 parts, 3 parts, or 4 parts. So I'm going to start with, most likely I'll use 12 here. So I'm going to have 12 as the length and 12 as the width. Because it's a square, everything is going to be equal. And now I'm going to look for the area of each of the A portions. This first portion, we can see here that these square is divided into 3 equal rows. So I'm going to divide 12 by 3 to get the value for each row. So you have a 4 here, a 4 here, and a 4 here. And then the length right here is going to be 6 in this case right here, and then 4 in this case, and then we have 3 in this case. So let's look for the area of the area of A. Let's call this A1, A2, A3. The area of A1 is going to be equal to 12. Actually, that's going to be 6. It's going to be 6. 6 times 4, which is 24. Let's look at the area of A2. Area of A2 is 4 times 4, which is 16. And the area of A3 is going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. So let's look at sum of all A's. It's going to be 24 plus 16 plus 12, and that should give you 52 units. Now, area of the total square, area of square is 12 times 12, which is going to give us 144. Now we want to find out what fraction of the square's area is in the region labeled A. So let's look at the fraction here. It's going to be area of A divided by area of square. So we plug in our numbers. We have 52 divided by 144. We're going to divide this by 4 each time, so that's 13 over 36. The other way to have done this is to use algebra, but while you're in your test, it's better to just find the fastest, easiest way to do it, that is less prone to errors. So in this case, we're going to use option K. It's going to be our answer. In the second question here, 57, we have the functions y equal to sine x and y equal to sine x plus a plus b for constants a and b. So we're starting with sine x, and this is most likely a transformed equation here. The graph is in the standard xy coordinate plane. The functions have the same maximum value. So there you already have a hint on what b is going to be. Because the functions have the same maximum value, that means that we have these right here are exactly the same. So you can automatically say that b equal to 0. It means that nothing changes in terms of his vertical transformation stays the same. So b is equal to 0. So you know, if you're in your test, through the question you find b is equal to 0, look in your answers. You can see that there's no other option that has b equal to 0 than option A. In my opinion, you can stop here, but if you want to just for due diligence, let's keep going. One of the following statements about the values of a and b is true. Which statement is it? So we read the statement here that says both functions have the same maximum value, which tells us that b equal to 0. If you're in a test, the best thing to do once you get to that point, because you can only say that one option satisfies your answer, you can move to the next question. If you want to verify the other part of the question, you can do that, but my suggestion is that you can only see that only one answer has b equal to 0. So we'll move on to the next question. Number 58, which of the following number line graphs shows the solution to the inequality x minus 5 absolute less than equal to minus 1? So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the absolute value. So we're going to have 1 less than x minus 5 less than negative 1. So what you want to do here is try to solve this inequality and see which of the following line graphs has the solution set. So I'm going to add 5 to all sides. So we have 6 less than x less than 4. So what we're told here is that we're looking for a number such that x is less than 4 and x is greater than 6. Do we have such a number? So let's test some points. So x is less than 4. Let's look at 2. So 2 minus 5 is less than negative 1. So you're going to get 3 here less than negative 1. This is inaccurate. Let's try 7. 7 minus 5 less than negative 1. So 2 less than negative 1. inaccurate. So what this tells us is once we put these test points, we can see that we have an empty set. So that means that there's actually no number in the solution set that satisfies this inequality. Number 59. As part of a probability experiment, Elliot is to answer 4 multiple choice questions. So we have 4 multiple choice questions. Let me just say question 1, 2, 3, and 4. For each question, there are 3 possible answers. So let's call that A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, and A. If Elliot randomly and independently answers each question, what is the probability that he will answer the 4 questions correctly? So we're looking at random selection here, and we're looking at independent events. So what that means is that we're going to look for the probability of answering each of the questions correctly, and usually probability is, let's say probability, let's call that C. Probability of a correct answer is going to be possible answers. So it's going to be possible answers. So there's only one correct answer divided by total number of choices, which is 1/3. So in each case, we have 1/3 as the probability of selecting the right answer. Now we want to talk about independent. Because the events are independent, you have to actually multiply the probability of all the events together. So the probability of correct answers in all 4 is going to be equal to 1/3 multiplied by 1/3 multiplied by 1/3 multiplied by 1/3. So that's going to give us 1/81. So the probability of making sure that he has the correct answers for all 4 questions is 1/81. That's option E. Final question in the test. The sides of an acute triangle measure 14 centimeters, 18 centimeters, and 20 centimeters. Which of the following equations, when solved for angle theta, gives the measure of the smallest angle of the triangle? So the first thing we're going to do is to put a triangle together. So this is our triangle. So let's give some measurements on the sides. The longest side we can assume is this one here, is 20 centimeters. We have a 14 centimeter side here, and we have 18 centimeters on this side. Now, what are we trying to do? We're trying to find the value of this angle that is unknown, which is the smallest angle. So usually the smallest angle is the angle opposite the smallest side. So let's look for the smallest side. So this is the smallest side, 14 right here. So this is going to be the angle we're looking for. So generally this is the cosine rule, because you have 3 sides and an unknown angle. So we have 3 sides. In the cosine rule, we can see that we have 3 sides and an unknown angle. Now the reason why we don't use this rule here, which is on the left hand side, this is your sine rule. For you to use the sine rule, you at least have to know the value of one of the angles. In this case, we don't even know the value of any of the angles. So we're looking for the unknown angle. So we're going to use the cosine rule. So this is cosine C. So that means we're going to start with the side that is opposite the angle. So we're going to say 14 squared, which is our C here because it's the side opposite the unknown angle. 14 squared is equal to 20 squared plus 18 squared minus 2 times 20 times 18 cosine theta. So when you're dealing with the test, because the scope of the test isn't for you to actually solve solve triangles using the cosine rule, most times this is about where they stop. So let's see if there's an answer that matches what we've done so far. So 14 squared is 18 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 18 times 20 cosine theta. So that is going to give us option J. What if you're given a quadratic function? You're given the graph of a quadratic function, and you're told to express that quadratic function in terms of its factors. How would you do it? In this lesson, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show you the simplest way to approach this type of question. We will first start by understanding the factors of quadratic functions. Then I'll show you the steps to determine the factors of a quadratic function just by looking at important points on the graph, and then we're going to use that information to solve some examples together. What are the factors of a quadratic function? They are written in the form x minus a multiplied by x minus b. And the zeros of the function, so the values of a and b, are also known as the x intercepts of the graph. So they are the x intercepts of the graph. So if we had a graph that looks like this, and we had a quadratic function right there, we're saying here that your a and b are going to be the x intercepts, which is where the graph crosses the x-axis, and then the product of a and b is going to give you the y-intercept, which is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Now, how are we going to determine these factors, the factors of the quadratic function, by just looking at the graph? We'll identify the x-intercepts a and b, identify the y-intercept, and then we want to make sure that the product of a and b gives you the y-intercept, and then we're going to substitute into this expression here, x minus a multiplied by x minus b, and then finally you can write the function in this format, f of x equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So you can do this. This to me is optional. if you only care about the factors. But if you want to identify the actual quadratic equation, then you would go ahead and do this last step. So we're going to do this last step for all of them, but I just want to let you know that if you're told to just find the factors of the quadratic function, you don't have to go ahead with step 5. You can stop at step 4. Now let's look at our first example together. Identify the function of the graph represented below. So we want to find out the x-intercept. So let's take note of that. We want to find out the x-intercept. We want to find out the y-intercept. And then we want to write as x minus a multiplied by x minus b. So our x-intercepts are going to be x equal to -3 and then x equal to -2. What's our y-intercept? We say that the product of the x-intercepts should at least give us the y-intercept. So -3 multiplied by -2, that's +6. Our y-intercept is y equal to 6. So now our quadratic function, f of x, is going to be x minus a. Let's use minus -3 for that. And then we have x minus b. b is going to be -2. So now we're going to have x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 2. So this is actually our function in terms of its factors. So now we will take one more step and actually multiply these factors together. So f of x is going to be x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. And now we have x squared plus 5x plus 6. So our function is going to be f of x equal to x squared plus 5x plus 6. Our next example here, we want to find out the x-intercept. We want to find out our y-intercept. And remember, we want to write it in the form x minus a multiplied by x minus b. So we have our x-intercepts are x equal to -2, x equal to 1. Our y-intercept, we're saying that here it shows -2. So -2 multiplied by 1 is -2. So that is a good y-intercept, y equal to -2. And then we want to write x minus, so our f of x, which is our function, is going to be x minus a. So let's x minus -2. And then we have multiplied by x minus 1. So this is going to be x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 1. So now let's go ahead and multiply this. We have x squared plus 2x minus x minus 2. I don't think we need a parenthesis at the end, so let's get rid of that. And so now we have x squared plus x minus 2. So our function is actually going to be x squared plus x minus 2. And then finally, we have this function, this graph here. Let's go ahead. We always have to remember we're writing in the form x minus a multiplied by x minus b. So we have our x-intercepts going to be x equal to -2 and then x equal to 6. Our y-intercept here is going to be -12. We can see that -2 multiplied by 6 is -12, so y equal to -12. So now our function is going to be x minus -2 multiplied by x minus 6. So we have x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 6. So our f of x is going to be x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 6. So we now have x squared plus 2x minus 6x minus 12. So therefore, f of x is going to be x squared minus 4x minus 12. That is going to be the function represented in the graph here. One way to determine a quadratic function from its graph is to use its vertex. In this lesson, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I will start by explaining to you what the vertex form of a quadratic function is, and then we'll look at some simple steps to determine the quadratic function in vertex form from its graph. And then we're going to use those simple steps to solve some examples together. What is the vertex form? The vertex form of a quadratic function are written in the form f of x equal to a x minus h squared plus k, where hk makes up the vertex of the graph. Also, when you have the vertex form of the quadratic function, your axis of symmetry, and your axis of symmetry is that line that divides the quadratic function into two equal halves, and then your y-intercept of the graph is the value of f of x when x is equal to 0. Now, what are the simple steps that we need to follow to derive or to determine the quadratic function in vertex form given a graph? We want to first find out the vertex of the function. So the point hk, the vertex is the point on the graph where the graph changes direction. So it's going to be the highest point or the lowest point of the graph. We're going to replace h and k in the function f of x equal to ax minus h squared plus k. And then we're going to select a point on the graph that is not the vertex and use that to solve for a. And then finally we'll write our function in the form f of x equal to ax minus h squared plus k. So now we're going to look at some examples together. So let's start from the vertex. The vertex is going to be the highest point on the graph. So that's this point right here. At that point, you have your x coordinate is 1, your y coordinate is 3. And so we know that our function here in vertex form is ax minus h squared plus k. So now we're going to now substitute the values. Don't forget, this is h and this is k. We're going to substitute the values h and k in this function here. So f of x is going to be a multiplied by x minus 1 squared plus 3. And now we're going to find another point on the graph. I like to use the point that has the origin or that has the y-intercept or the x-intercept. So if you had the origin, you can use that too. So now we have f of x. So we're saying f of 0 is equal to 1. Okay, f of 0 equal to 1, which simply means that 1 is equal to a multiplied by 0 minus 1 squared plus 3. So 1 is equal to a multiplied by negative 1 squared plus 3. So 1 is equal to a plus 3. So we subtract 3 from both sides, and then we have negative 2 is equal to a. So therefore our function is going to look like this: f of x equal to negative 2. So we're replacing a with negative 2, x minus 1 squared plus 3. Now the best way to look to see if you're right is if you look at the graph is pointing upwards and it's opening downwards. So that means your a is going to be a negative value. Now let's look at our next example. Identify the function here. So we start with our vertex. What is our vertex? Remember, the vertex is the point where the graph changes direction. It's either going from the lowest to the It's either going from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing. And the simple way to identify the vertex is it's the highest point on the graph or the lowest point on the graph. So in this case, we have a lowest point. So this is going to be our point here. So you're going to have -1, and then it's going to be -4. And then f of x is equal to ax minus h squared plus k. Now we're going to substitute these values here. So f of x is going to be ax minus, we need to remember here that your x coordinate is h, your y coordinate is k, x minus -1 squared plus -4. So f of x is equal to ax plus 1 squared minus 4. Now we're going to find out the value of a, and I'm going to pick a point on the graph. So let's use this point right here. So that point there is 0, -1. So what that simply means is that f of 0 is equal to -1. And so we're going to have -1 equal to a 0 plus 1 squared minus 4. And so we have -1 equal to a, and then this is 1 squared minus 4. So -1 is a minus 4. Now we're going to add 4 to both sides. Add 4 to both sides. So 3 is equal to a. Therefore, f of x is equal to a is 3, x plus 1 squared minus 4. So that is going to be the function that represents the graph. How can you tell if you're right? A has to be positive if the graph is pointing upwards. And our final example here, we start with our vertex. Our vertex is going to be the point, so remember the highest or the lowest point on the graph. So this is our vertex. It's going to be the point -1, -2. And this is h here, this is k. Then we have our function f of x equal to ax minus h squared plus k. Now we're going to substitute the values of h and k. So f of x is equal to ax minus -1 squared plus -2. So f of x is equal to ax negative becomes positive plus 1 squared minus 2. And then we're going to pick a random point. I'm going to pick this point right here. Let's pick the point 1, 2. So our point here is 1, 2. So we're going to say f of 1 is equal to 2. So what that simply means is that 2 is equal to a1 plus 1 squared minus 2. And so we have 2 is equal to a, this is going to be 4. Actually, let me not skip that step. It's going to be a, and then we have 2 squared minus 2. So now we have 2 is equal to 4a minus 2. We can add 2 to both sides. So 4 is equal to 4a. Now we can divide both sides by 4. And then we have a equal to 1. So therefore, what we're going to have in this situation is that f of x is equal to 1x plus 1 squared minus 2. So you don't really need to keep the 1, so you can simply write it as this. F of x equal to x plus 1 squared minus 2. So this is the function in vertex form represented by this graph. So we're going to look at how to determine the slope from the equation of a line. We're going to do this first by trying to examine the standard equation of a line, and then using that to look at how we can identify the slope from that same line. So the standard equation of a line is expressed as y equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope, so the coefficient of x is the slope, and b is the intercept on the y-axis. To determine the slope from of a line from the equation, we want to first rewrite the equation in the form y equal to mx plus b, and then m is going to be the slope of the line or the equation. So what is the slope of the line represented by 4x equal to 5y plus 8? So our goal is to always write as y equal to mx plus b. So let's start off with that. So let's subtract 8 from both sides here. So 4x minus 8 equal to 5y. Then we divide by 5. So we have y equal to 4 over 5x minus 8 over 5. So our slope is 4 over 5. Now we have this equation. What is the slope of a line represented by 2y minus 4x equal to 9? The first thing we're going to do is add 4x. So 2y is equal to 4x plus 9. We divide by 2 on both sides. So y equal to 2x plus 9 over 2. So our slope is equal to 2. Now what is the slope of a line represented by x minus 1/2 y equal to 3? So the first thing we're going to do is to multiply by 2 to get rid of the fraction on y. So 2x minus y equal to 6. Now we're going to add y to both sides, which is 2x equal to y plus 6, and then I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So 2x minus 6 equal to y. So this also is the same as y equal to 2x minus 6. So our slope equal to 2. Now in this case, our goal is to, this case has, the equation is 3 over 4x minus 2 over 5y equal to 7 over 8. We have two approaches. We can either multiply by the inverse of negative 2 over 5 or the inverse of 2 over 5. I'm going to multiply by negative 5 over 2 because that's the inverse of negative 2 over 5. So I'm going to have 3 over 4 times negative 5 over 2x minus 2 over 5 times negative 5 over 2y equal to 7 over 8 times negative 5 over 2. So let's simplify. Minus 15 over 8x plus y equal to negative 35 over 16. So we're going to add 15 over 8x to both sides. And now we have y is equal to 15 over 8x minus 35 over 16. So the slope this line is equal to 15/8. So just to recap, when you have an equation and you're trying to find the slope, you want to first write the equation in the form y equal to mx plus b, and then the coefficient of x, which is your m, becomes the slope of the line.
Hi, my name is Aretha Delasimo, and I'm making this video today to tell you about a wonderful opportunity you have to invest in yourself and your own future career goals by enrolling in Matthews Tutors. I'm currently a freshman student at Columbia University in the city of New York, an Ivy League institution where I am studying neuroscience and behavior on the pre-med track. I personally don't believe that I would have had the ability to call myself a Columbia student had it not been for the efforts of Matthews Tutors all those years ago. When I was in high school, I struggled with math, and I knew that I struggled with math. Math filled me with fear, and I wasn't confident doing it. But after just a few sessions with Matthews Tutors, not only was I instilled with the confidence to go forth in whatever math classes I chose to take, but I was able to increase my ACT score by almost 10 points, helping me earn a super score of 35. With those numbers, I was able to get accepted to all 16 colleges I applied to, including, but not limited to, Cornell University, Georgetown University, Tulane University, Duke University, and the college I currently attend, Columbia University. Matthews Tutors is going to do everything that they can to help you. That's what they did for me. But not only are they going to help you be a better student, they're going to continuously check in on you. I know that I personally received a lot of messages of support from them during my first semester of college, which was one of the hardest semesters I've ever experienced as a student. Matthews made sure that I had the confidence to go forth and pursue my own academic goals, but they also helped me increase the numbers too so that I could get where I wanted to be. And I know that they can do the same thing for you if you give them a chance. Thank you.
We're going to look at the difference of two cubes. We will start by looking at the general formula, and then we'll look at examples where we apply the general formula. So the general formula is when you have a cubed minus b cubed, we have a minus b multiplied by the sum of a squared, ab, and b squared. Now we're going to try to use this in some examples. So we have 8 cubed minus 5 cubed. So what we have as the general formula is a cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b multiplied by the sum of a squared, ab, and b squared. So in our case here, a is 8, b is 5. So 8 cubed minus 5 cubed is equal to 8 minus 5 multiplied by 8 squared plus 8 times 5 plus 5 squared. So let's simplify. 8 minus 5, that's going to be 3, multiplied by 8 squared is 64. 8 times 5 is 40. 5 squared is 25. So let's add this together. So we have 64, 40, and 25. Let's add them together. We have 4 plus 5 is 9, 6 plus 4, 10. So we have 129. So this is going to be 3 multiplied by 129. Let's get that together. 129 multiplied by 3. 9 multiplied by 3 is 27. We have 7. We put 2 up here. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 2, 8. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. So we have 387. Next example, we have a cubed minus b cubed is going to be a minus b multiplied by the sum of a squared, b squared. Actually, let's write it the right way. So it's going to be a squared, ab, and b squared. So in our case, a equal to 6, b equal to 3. So 6 to the power of 3 minus 3 to the power of 3 is equal to 6 minus 3 multiplied by 6 squared plus 6 times 3 plus 3 squared. So this is going to give us 3 out here. Multiplied by 6 squared is 36 plus 6 times 3 is 18 plus 3 squared is 9. So 36 plus 18 is 54 plus 9, 63. So 3 times 63, which is 189. Next example, we're going to write the general formula again. A cubed minus b cubed equal to a minus b multiplied by a squared plus ab plus b squared. So now we have in our situation here, in this example or in this question, a is 9, b is 5. So 9 cubed minus 5 cubed is equal to 9 minus 5 multiplied by 9 squared plus 9 times 5 plus 5 squared. So this is equal to 9 minus 5 is 4 multiplied by 9 squared is 81 plus 9 times 5 is 45 plus 5 squared is 25. So we have 81, 45, and 25. So this is going to give us 1 on this side. 8 plus 4, so put the 1 here. 8 plus 4, 12, plus 2, 14, plus 1, 15. So this is 4 multiplied by 151, which is going to give you 604. Final example, we're going to start with our formula as usual. We have a cubed minus b cubed equal to a minus b multiplied by a squared plus ab plus b squared. So here a is 11, b is 8. So 11 cubed minus 8 cubed is going to be 11 minus 8 multiplied by 11 squared plus 11 times 8 plus 8 squared. This is going to give us 11 minus 8 is 3 multiplied by 11 squared is 121 plus 11 times 8 is 88 plus 8 squared is 64. So let's add this together. 121, 88, 64. Okay, 1 plus 8, 9 plus 4, 13. 1 plus 2, 3 plus 8, 11 plus 6, 17. 1 plus 1, 2. So we have 3 multiplied by 273, which is going to give us 819. We will be learning the difference of two squares. And our focus is to look at the general formula and then applying the general formula to solve expressions or to solve equations. The general rule is that a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Now let's apply this to some examples. So we have 8 squared minus 5 squared. So because we're looking at our general formula is a squared minus b squared equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Okay, so here we can say a equal to 8, b equal to 5. So 8 squared minus 5 squared is going to be 8 plus 5 multiplied by 8 minus 5, which is going to give us 8 plus 5 is 13 multiplied by 8 minus 5, that is 3, which is 39. Another example, we have a squared minus b squared equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus. So here a equal to 19, b equal to 15. So 19 squared minus 15 squared is equal to 19 plus 15 multiplied by 19 minus 15. This is going to give us 19 plus 15 is 34 multiplied by 19 minus 15. That's going to give us 4. So 34 multiplied by 4 is 136. Next example, we have a squared minus b squared equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So we can say a is equal to 14, b is equal to 7. So 14 squared minus 7 squared is going to be 14 plus 7 multiplied by 14 minus 7. This is going to give us 21 multiplied by 7, which is 147. And then the final example, we have a squared minus b squared equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So in this case, a is 25, b is 5. So 25 squared minus 5 squared is going to be equal to 25 plus 5 multiplied by 25 minus 5, which is equal to 30 multiplied by 20. So we have 3 times 2 is going to be 6. We put the 2 zeros at the end. So this is the application of the difference of two squares. We're going to look at the distance between points, and our focus will be the distance between any 2 points on the coordinate plane. So if we have points A, x1, y1, and B, x2, y2, the distance between those 2 points is going to be given as the square root of x2 minus x1 squared, or plus y2 minus y1 squared. Also, because you have a squared, you can also write it this way as the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared for the distance. So we're going to apply that to a few problems just to show how this works. So find the distance between points A 5, 3 and points B 8, 3. So we're going to have our formula. R is square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So x2 minus x1 squared, so let's put that square root sign out here. X2 minus x1, I'm going to assume this is the point. I'm going to use B as the point with the x2 and the y2, and A as the point with the x1 and y1. So x2 minus x1 squared, so 8 minus 5 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, 3 minus 3 squared. So we have a square root of 3 squared plus 0, which is the square root of 9, and that's going to give us 3. So R is going to be equal to 3 units of measurement. Another example. What is the distance between the point A42 and the point B16? So R is going to be equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to use B as the x2 and y2. So that's going to give us 1 minus 4 squared plus 6 minus 2 squared. So this is going to give us square root of negative 3 squared plus 4 squared. Now we're going to have negative 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, which is square root of 9 plus 16 is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So the distance between those 2 points is 5 units. Another example. R is going to be square root of, you notice that I make it a habit of writing